Linda, and welcome back to the second session of coaching. And today we're going to talk about leadership coaching. And um, uh, we know each other from the past. I know you have tremendous experience in coaching, in Google, and Indeed. You have massive leadership coaching experience. You coached me as well, and this is why I wanted to share your experience with the audience today. And are there things that I forgot that maybe you can talk about more about yourself?
Thank you for having me again, Cedric. It's a pleasure.
With pleasure.
Yeah, so I'm very passionate about leadership coaching, and I've gained experience through multiple different coaching engagements. I worked at Google as a leadership coach for some time, and then I moved to a full-time role at Indeed as a coach, and I coach many leaders here. And I counted them the other day, and it was 119. It's nice to kind of go back and see, oh, this is a big number.
It's
And
huge.
and I learned so much. So it's not just me being kind of an expert in leadership development. The reason why I've gained so much experience and knowledge on this topic, it's because I learned every single time that I work with a leader, I learn as much as possible from them, like I learned from you,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
example, a few
yeah,
years ago.
great. Thank you, thank you. So, and in the first session, we were talking about what is coaching, why is it important? And then on the leadership coaching side, why is leadership coaching crucial in an organization and for a leader?
Yeah, so leadership coaching is really crucial, and this is something that I'm thinking about Eric Schmidt of Google, for
Hmm.
example, that years ago he had an interview, and this interview he said, "Everyone needs a coach." It's one of my favorite interviews, and so everyone needs a coach, but particularly leaders, as they are responsible for business results, and they're responsible for their teams and ensuring that through the people on their team the business can achieve their goals. It's absolutely crucial that leaders understand how they operate and how they can bring their performance from good to great.
Yeah.
And another aspect that's very important of leadership coaching is that leaders, through developing themselves, they learn also how to develop their people. So, one of the things, for example, that I ask at the end of the coaching journey with me, I ask leaders to reflect on their coaching skills and their ability to coach their teams. And always, every single time, they say that they had become better coaches after experiencing coaching themselves. So
Hmm.
it's a ripple effect. That's what I find really rewarding for me as a coach. It's a ripple effect on the entire organization that starts with the leader. And then through the teams, then the impact becomes something that benefits then everyone involved.
Yeah, yeah, 100% agree. And I remember a couple of years ago, I was giving a workshop to 10 CEOs around positioning and strategy, focused on commercial strategy. And I asked those 10 CEOs, who of you has a coach? None of them had a coach. And then, of course, it's very abstract to talk about sales coaching, sales performance,
Yeah.
when they are not used at all to work with coaches themselves. So there's a lot of creating awareness to leaders that it is important, and we can intellectually tell them right now here on the in the podcast
Yeah.
how when you have a conversation with a leader, how do you persuade a leader that coaching is important and helps them?
So for me, and that's an interesting question because for me, working as an internal coach in an organization is fairly easy because the entire organization is bought into coaching. So
Hmm.
we believe that creating a coaching culture is really paramount, not just for the leadership to function really well, but for the overall performance of the organization. So I think, I mean, a belief it's important for first of all, but experience. If someone never had a coach before, they might be, as you said, thinking about something really abstract. Someone is asking me some questions. It's sort of like a therapist, and
Yeah.
I can bring a funny example uh, from a recent conversation that I had with the founder of a small company. and it's a digital marketing company. And I'm coaching this founder right now. And he was saying that he thought initially, when the HR told him about me and the opportunity to get a coach and work with a coach, they thought that it was this kind of fluffy thing that I don't really understand. Why do I need this? Because my business is already doing amazing. I don't see why working with the coach could make things any better.
Mm-hmm.
And the HR person was incredibly smart, and what she did was initially to um, have me work with the junior leader within the organization. So I started working with this junior leader that I had just moved from being an individual contributor to a leadership role, and was managing just one person. So it was kind of low stakes scenario.
Yeah.
And apparently I did a really good job, and the junior leader had become much more effective and impactful throughout the process, and share all, I mean, the learning and the experience with his manager, who is the founder. And then at that point, the founder, because he could see the results of coaching, then he believed. So he became a believer in the power of coaching. And then so he asked to work with me at that point. So it's very important. It's one, especially in small organizations. It's important to have an experience, even if it's kind of short uh, um, experience of maybe one session on the 30 minutes. Just let me try, let me taste this thing, and how this can help me to make better decisions, to gain some clarity. Because one thing that I've noticed about founders is that they tend to be extremely busy people, of course, because they wear many hats at many point in time throughout the day, not even even the
Mm-hmm.
week.
True.
Uh, but also they tend to be visionaries. So they have this incredible kind of vision for what they want to create in the world and for their business. So they might find it hard sometimes kind of to pinpoint the details, and really understand what is really not working here with this kind of relationship with this business partner, or with this other executive on the team. So why isn't my VP of sales delivering the result that I expect of them? And so really going a little bit deeper, and reflecting and understanding
Mm-hmm.
what is going on
Yeah.
specifically that needs needs an intervention, right? And it needs someone to take action there, because
Yeah.
there's so much, so it's hard to prioritize in simple terms. So that's what I wanted to say. And coaching is an incredible, a powerful tool that helps you prioritize, kind of get clarity, and really understand what is my priority number one, number two, number three, what I'm going to tackle first, next, and next. It's an incredible tool.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
And
founders sometimes find themselves really confused and overwhelmed.
yeah, exactly. Right. Because as a founder, you work in your business, very operational. Now we have to do this. We have to extinguish that fire here, close that customer there, get that operation stuff in order over there. But you need time consciously block out some time to work on your business, and then somebody who can come with a bird's eye perspective and help them with the coaching is important. Yes, and also there, and if you look at an advisor that is maybe a sector specialist versus a leadership coach, when would you pick then an advisor, and when would you pick a leadership coach?
Okay, that's a great question. I think very useful for the audience.
Exactly.
Um, the advisor, or I mean the consultant, it's a very important um, person to have in your business, kind of working with you on a specific project. So when you
Hmm.
need the knowledge, when you need the expertise, when you need someone that can guide you step by step to figure out a challenge that you are currently facing, and how to tackle that challenge. So if you need someone that's, a consultant on kind of sales like yourself, or taxes, or someone that is really amazing at something else, you need a specialist. So you need
Mhm.
someone that can really share the knowledge with you and guide you step by step and help you to figure out exactly what you need to do. So they are going to tell you, in most instances, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this right. You need to kind of hire someone in this area, or you need to fire someone in this area, because they know, they have the
Yeah.
expertise, so they know what they're talking about. With the leadership coach, instead, it's different, because a leadership coach is someone that has expertise in leadership, maybe has expertise in the same industry, which is something that's helpful but not necessary. Like me, for example, I have a lot of expertise, many 20 plus years in the tech industry. So I know that tech leaders, or founders in the tech industry, tend to be attracted to me because they think, oh yeah, she can really get me and understand what it means to be, either founder or someone that faces certain challenges in the sector. But
Yeah.
it's not a requirement to say, okay, I could also coach someone in the retail sector, for example, because coaching is a process. It's a methodology that helps you to get faster where you want to be. So the coach helps you to think better. So in simple terms, if someone is not familiar with coaching, I would say it's a thought partner. So someone that can help you to think a lot better than you're thinking right now.
Yeah.
And you might also ask yourself a question like, well, what does this mean? Or how do I know if I'm thinking well enough? You know it by having a conversation with someone. And you know, sometimes when you're having a conversation, that you find out, oh, I didn't think about this, or I didn't think about that. I didn't realize that I could have, crafted my communication to the team in a much more, structured way, or with more clarity, or with much more kind of persuasion. But you don't know it. You don't know it until you reflect on it.
Yeah.
And how do you reflect on it? By having conversation with
Yeah.
someone else.
Yeah, exactly. And also the way you work, like with founders or with the leaders, is having that clarity in what makes you really tick. Because
Hmm.
you are maybe a
Yeah.
long time in corporate, a long time, let me say, in a golden cage, while your
Yeah.
real passion might be in freedom,
Mm.
like wasn't the case with me. So
Yeah.
building a path to leave that golden cage, I think it's also a very important journey. Um, but then if you look at the impact in leadership coaching, if you look at building a learning organization to roll out coaching across the entire the organization. So where does leadership coaching play a role there? Because in the end, you'll have the leaders. You have the leaders that maybe coach the leaders, and then you have the leaders that coach the individual contributors. So how does leadership coaching play a role there?
Um, that's a complex question, because there's not kind of one answer to this question,
Hmm.
because all organizations find their own path to coaching. I know the biggest organizations tend to, many times, hire external organizations like vendors that can provide leadership coaching to their leaders. And depending on what budget they have, they might choose to coach only executives. So they might coach a number of leaders more in senior roles, so that the impact of coaching can kind of pass through them to everybody else. There are also organizations that teach coaching to their leaders. And
Hmm.
so they invest, first of all, in the leaders, and they teach them like the grow model. They organize trainings for the leaders to learn how to be coaches themselves. My belief in general is that, generally speaking, is that it's important for leaders to be more coach-like. So, I mean, all leaders should be more coach-like. So being able to use the coaching as a tool in their leadership efforts. But that doesn't mean that they have to be professionals, or that leadership coaches, I mean, professional executive coaches or leadership coaches are not required once you have the coaching skill within the organization. And why I'm saying that, I'm saying that because managers and leaders, first of all, need to do their job. So they need to kind of look after the business and grow their team and develop their people. They cannot can spend all day long coaching. They have other responsibilities. They have admin, they have operations, they have the numbers if they are sales leaders.
Small
They have
detail.
spreadsheets, not that fun. And that means that they cannot, most instances, just be just those coaches that help develop their people all day long. So that level of mastery, it's something that I would leave with someone who is a professional coach. Um, but it's not, I mean, either or. There are also leaders, for example, in this organization, uh, uh, that decide to go for a master in executive coaching. So they reach really, a high level of proficiency in the coaching process and in the ability to apply that. At the same time, I notice that, and that's a very important point here that I'm making, that is hard for them to be 100% effective when they're coaching their teams because of the simple reasons that managers need to wear multiple hats and they need to be sometimes managing. So that's the aspect of leadership that has to do with ensuring that things are under control. So
Yeah.
you need to do what the business requires of you.
Yeah.
And that's why many times coaching your direct reports as a leader might be tricky because people think that you have your own agenda as a manager and that you want to lead them to believe or to think or do certain things.
Yeah.
That's why uh, for leaders sometimes being very effective as coaches might be very challenging. And something that I heard from many, many leaders, either here or at Indeed or when I was working at Google. It's not easy to wear
I mean,
multiple hats.
we go deeper into this and into the third session when we talk about sales coaching, because
Yeah.
exactly sales leaders have and the numbers, they have coaching. Sometimes they have to more direct than coach. So it is much more complex on that level. Yes.
Yes, it is.
And before we go to that third session, then, if you look at leadership coaching, what are for you some key points to start when you start with leadership coaching, and what are typically expected outcomes
So where to start? I'd say for leaders. So you mean for
for
leaders to
leaders? Yeah.
start? A good starting point is to do a kind of self-assessment and focus on the areas where the leaders wants to grow. And as you mentioned before, it's key that the leaders picks a goal, a developmental goal that they care about.
Mm-hmm.
That's important to them as individuals, not just as leaders of a team within a specific organization. Because if there's no alignment between the goal that you set for yourself as a leader, developmental goal, and what you care about, you're going to just end up kind of ticking boxes and do what you're told
Yeah.
by your manager or by the coach, but because you will just go through the motions
Yeah.
in a sense. So the process will not be really effective. So that's something that I do not recommend anybody to do. Just do, and this is called coaching for compliance. When your manager tells you, hey, you need to improve in this area of communication, but you don't really care so much about it, then it's not going to work because what you really want to work on, it's something else, maybe leading through change or ambiguous situations or managing conflict or whatnot. That's very important to you. So pick a goal, first of all, in agreement with your manager that you do care about and the benefit and will benefit not just you, but your team and the organization at large. So one of the questions that I always ask in my intake form before I start working with leaders, it's that question around how is this goal, and if you achieve this goal, going to benefit you, your team, the organization, and the people that we serve as an
Great.
organization.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's important that you take that kind of big picture view and that you make this alignment for yourself for this goal with what is also important for the system, for the organization that you work for.
And this takes also away the idea that coaching is just a nice conversation. You work already towards a goal and an outcome.
Yeah, it's really not a nice.
Yeah.
It's sometimes, and that's also something I want to point out. Sometimes it's not a nice conversation at all. Sometimes can be really challenging,
Yeah.
and sometimes leaders might feel upset or maybe hate me when I ask them questions that invite them to dig a little deeper into some dark spots where they don't want right to go for themselves. Like we have ways of sabotaging ourselves, so we have kind of old patterns that hold us back, and sometimes we don't want to think about it. We just don't want to think about it because it doesn't feel good, right? But it's something that we have to do if we want to grow.
Great. Well, yeah, that's great. I love your input, and I would like to thank you for a very good second session, and looking forward to talking to you in the third session where we'll talk about sales leadership with individual contributors, so managing and coaching sales executives. So
Okay,
see you in the third session. Thank you.
perfect. Thank you.